Alright guys, so I'm here with the second army review. I normally don't do army reviews, but really this year going up to Nova and trying different armies and testing out different armies, I've made some really cool lists and really cool models. So that's one reason why I'm doing them. It's really just to show off the models and my paint jobs. And it might motivate someone to try out new armies or something. Because haven't really played Isengard really in a year. Like I'm like actually playing them. Like I played like practice with them for Dan and Sam to find out what it's like to verse Isengard, but I haven't actually considered taking him. But I have now, just because I'll go over the list. Let me just go over this list. So I'm gonna start off. So let me start off. I have my original draft of the list. I had Saruman and Grima and Berserkers and Ferals, and it was about a 33 model count, 700 points because I was practicing it for Nova. But see, I would lose so many models in shooting because people would target the ferals that I would get into combat. I versus Dan one game, I lost 9 guys before I even got into combat. Now I still won just because of the nature of the army. They literally go in there and maul. But literally I decided to take out Saruman and Grima, and I tried something new, and it actually works really well. I'm gonna go over the army. So, of course, really the first model I think anyone who plays Isengard should put in their army is Rasku and crossbows. It's just like first off, Rasku shoots like an elf. His like shot value, but then he has a strength 4 bow, so he hits really hard in his shots, and so do the crossbow. Like the regular Urukai are a little bit inaccurate, a little bit more so than others, but they also hit very hard. And if you utilize your might with Rasku to do heroic shots in the heroic accuracies, things like that, this little group of crossbows become quite lethal. In fact, I think I've been able to outshoot most anyone other than the Mirkwood Ranger Force, which was Dan's. So then the next warband. Now I have Sharku. You don't really see a lot of people take him as much because he's a little bit weaker than some. I'm taking him normally to get his might. He's a little bit cheaper. I haven't based him yet, so sorry about that. But I was able to trade to get the model. He's a pretty cool model. Sorry about that. He's a very cool model. And I recently painted him. I traded him for some, to Jason. You see him on our channel now a few times. I traded him for a few of the Dalamroth men-at-arms that I had. Because I really wanted the model for this army. He's a really cool model. If I had to pick an Isengard model to bring back in print, he would be one of the ones along with these guys. These are the Feral Urukai, and I'm actually quite surprised how easily I was able to get a warband worth. Well, not easily. Now, easily with an asterisk next to it. I had to spend some money to get them, but easily found them on eBay. They're quite out of print, and I traded a few things for some Ferals as well, but they're awesome models. Honestly, never realized how cool these models are. They're very cool. And not only that, but their profiles are quite devastating. I know a lot of people don't like their defense 5, but literally, I would honestly consider taking them over Berserkers just because they're a little bit cheaper. And their defense 5 to me is a little bit meaningless when you start talking about this kind of strength 4 meta going around. So most things are going to need 5s doing Berserkers anyway. So that's kind of my logic in taking. I have quite a few of them in this list. So Sharku is leading 2 Warg Riders. My logic is having some higher moving guys to go cap objectives, to go maybe harass objectives, to get the knockdown on some weaker infantry, kind of things like that. Strength 4 Wargs, because you can use their Strength 4. And then, of course, Sharku, my plan would be to use him to be like a assassin of casters kind of thing. Go charge Galadriel and you strike up, try and kill her. That's my was my plan with him. And then I have Mahur. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Mahur because of his 2 might. I actually, my logic is 3 attack. He's very devastating. And I'll go over the combo. I'll go a little bit more over Mahur in a minute. But I really like his profile, especially with this list that has such a high volume of attack. As you can see, this warband is nothing but Feral Urukai and Berserkers. I have a banner because my original list was Saruman and Grima did not have a banner, and I learned pretty quickly I needed one. I did the kind of blood effect, I don't remember the name of the paint, but it's Games Workshop paint, But the ferals and the berserkers, it makes them look like they're literally went there and slew a bunch of Rohan or Gondor or maybe even hobbits or elves. So now here's where I'm taking. Now I don't really know the public opinion on Sharky, but I'm taking Sharky and the Worm. Now, one, I got the Skyrim the Shire box, and I figured I'd go and try them out. I was like, I'm gonna try them out. I haven't really seen a lot of people use them. Now, on paper, you're like, okay, well, they're not even close to being as good as Saruman, but they're a lot cheaper in points. Now, the Worm, of course, is pretty much useless. But Sharky casts Transfix on a 2-up, and he's really cheap. 4 will, so you can just 1 will it. You have 1 might to maybe make that just to harass a hero. And it's actually worked pretty well. I've been able to transfix and kill the King's Champ. Transfix monsters is actually one of the big reasons why I'm taking him. I'm sure we'll see a Gundabad Troll or something similar to that. So try and transfix it with Sharky and trap him with 5 or 6 ferals. That would get the job done. And also the Worm, one thing I have been using him for is actually use him to go around and trap models. Now, by himself, he's pretty much garbage in terms of his fight value and strength. But when you start throwing him in there with the ferals and using him to get that 3rd model or that 4th model to trap someone, it actually becomes pretty devastating because the ferals and berserkers hit really hard. So that's basically this army. It hits hard. It's now another logic. I do have a logic though in taking the ferals over, say, pikemen. So pikemen add, of course, you add the 3 attack, pretty much berserkers, but for 1 more point, you get the ferals who are 1 more attack. So you can pretty much just wrap around someone. Instead of having that pike, you'll have 4 dice instead of having 3. And when you start talking about trapping someone, you'll have 8 dice instead of, you wouldn't really trap someone with a pike. So yeah, really my logic is to envelop someone. Trap them, get the strength 4 hits, and this list is hit really hard. I've versed some really tough armies with it, and I've actually made them look pretty easy. It's not necessarily, I'm not saying I'm a great player, it's just the nature of this army. It's pretty cheesy. Now, of course, it has its flaws, and I'll go over the flaws. Is, of course, starting off, because of the meta of strength 4 models, my guys are going to be going down in 5s, most of them, which is a pretty big deal, considering if I lose combats like Iron Hills Dwarves, for instance, or maybe even or other Uruk-hai armies or Durin's folk, kind of armies like that, if they can start swarming my guys and getting 3-on-1s, that kind of deal, then that's where I've lost with this army. And also, I am a little bit susceptible to shooting. My heroes are not that defensible in terms of their defense values are relatively low. So, for instance, Sharky got shot by 5 Mirkwood Rangers and died because he's not very defensive. Neither is Mahur or Sharky. So they do have their weaknesses in terms of they're not very defensible. Now, if you play them a little bit smarter, trying to utilize cover, trying to avoid getting marches off, deploying around the line pretty much, trying to just get to your enemy as soon as you could. Now that is something that has worked really well with this army. Now we start talking about hobbits or Mirkwood Rangers or just these huge shooting kind of horde armies, then yeah, it is pretty difficult. But I actually think I'm not going to sell my other army, but between the 2 armies, this was definitely on the table for taking the Nova. And really, all the game types, I didn't have any problem winning domination because I would easily take the middle and then branch out with my cavalry to contest their objectives. Lords of Battle was a pretty good game for me too. Versing dwarves, I was able to win. The only one I think would maybe be troublesome for me would be either the Fog of War or Hold Weapon of the Enemy. It's just because I don't know if the range, the distance I'd have to cover, especially depending on who I verse, but the distance I'd have to cover to get someone. That being said, my own shooting element's quite hardy, but it's definitely a unique army, and that's one reason why I'm doing this army review, because I really like this army list. And I don't normally like playing the bad guys, but I really enjoy this list just because the mechanics of having all these dice. Like we talk, I have 23 dudes. Well, that's 46 attack right there, and that's not even including the heroes and the cavalry and the crossbows. Just these 2 warbands worth of guys. 47 including the banner. Sorry. So Yeah, that's my army. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Happy wargaming and support your Hobbit hobby.